He pushed my 8-year-old sister off a 10-foot slide just to watch her fall, so I made sure the darkness in his own bedroom stared back at him. My little sister, Chloe, is the kind of kid who apologizes to flowers if she steps on them. She was at the park, just sitting at the top of the slide, looking at the clouds. Then came Damon. Damon is 18, a waste of space who gets a kick out of terrorizing kids because he's too weak to pick on anyone his own size. He climbed up behind her and didn't just ask her to move, he shoved her, hard. I watched from the bench as she tumbled 10 feet down, hitting the mulch with a sound that made my blood run cold. Snap. Compound fracture in her left arm. Damon laughed and jogged away. The police said without video, it was an accident. His parents wrote a check for the medical bills and told us to move on. I took that check, but I didn't move on. I moved in, not into his house, but into his head. I needed to understand the mechanics of his life before I dismantled them. I spent a week parked down the street, obscured by tinted windows, just watching. Damon was a creature of habit. He spent his nights in the basement of his parents' split level, gaming until 4 a.m. with noise-canceling headphones on. He felt safe there. He wasn't. I noticed he had a habit of leaving the sliding glass door unlatched for his golden retriever, a fatal error. I mapped out his schedule: school, skate park, home. I knew when he showered, when he ate, and when he slept. The first night I breached his sanctuary, he was upstairs arguing with his mom. I slipped into the basement. I didn't steal his console. That's petty theft. I wanted psychological erosion. I took every single left shoe he owned and hid them in the drop ceiling tiles. Then, I located his stash of pre-workout powder and swapped the contents with a mixture of dyed flour and crushed laxatives. I set up a small GoPro behind his dusty bookshelf to capture the results. Later that night, watching the footage of him sprinting to the bathroom, clutching his stomach in confusion and panic, was the first time I'd smiled in days. But physical discomfort wasn't enough. 2 days later, I escalated. I went back while he was asleep on the couch, mouth open, vulnerable. I stood over him for a solid 5 minutes, just breathing the same air, feeling the control shift from him to me. I took a Polaroid of his sleeping face from 3 inches away. I taped it to the screen of his TV. On the white border, I wrote in jagged red ink, "You look so peaceful when you're defenseless." I also left a small porcelain doll, one that looked just like Chloe, sitting on the coffee table, staring at him. When he woke up, the scream he let out wasn't one of anger. It was pure, distilled terror. He called the cops, but they found no forced entry. They told him he was imagining things, probably hallucinating from lack of sleep. Perfect. The finale was a masterpiece of atmosphere. It was a Tuesday, pitch black outside. I cut the main breaker to the house from the outside box. The basement plunged into an abyss. I was already inside, standing in the far corner, wearing a black morph suit and a mask that looked like a shattered porcelain face. He fumbled for his phone light, his breathing ragged, shouting, "Who's there? I have a knife!" He didn't. He was trembling. I let him sweep the room with the light until the beam hit me. I stood, motionless. Then, I tilted my head and whispered, "Gravity is a bitch, isn't it, Damon?" and swung. He was knocked down. I went and got his motionless body and dragged it onto his bed, tied him up onto his bed, and finally woke him up with some smelling salts. He screamed and panicked, trying to get out. I asked him one thing. "Did you stop when Chloe cried out?" He finally screamed for his parents like the child he really was. After that, I got up and left, leaving him tied up on the bed. He refused to sleep in that house again. A week later, he moved into a dorm 3 hours away. Allegations emerged that he had a severe mental break. And his parents didn't believe a single thing he said. They thought it was some weird kink he was into from the way he was tied. And finally, Chloe is getting her cast off next week. She's afraid of slides now, but at least she's smiling. And Damon, I hear he sleeps with a nightlight on.